Welcome back to the channel, and today I'll be talking about Erik Ten Hag's sacking of Manchester United. Before we get into it though, don't forget to hit that like button as it really helps us out, and subscribe to the channel as well because we're so close to 10,000 subscribers, guys. So if you keep hitting that subscribe button, it'd be really appreciated. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. So Erik Ten Hag has been sacked by Manchester United. It was on the cards really, I feel. Only one win in his last 5 Premier League games. You know, they currently sit 14th, 9 games gone. And if you're talking about Manchester United, you know, and those standards that everyone always talks about, it's nowhere near. It's nowhere near at all, and it's inevitable really. If you keep going on this runs where you're not getting much luck, which they have done over the years. You know, Erik Ten Hag has these runs where, you know, the teams have just not been up to standard, and yeah, this just showed. So the real sort of wake-up call for me was when they lost 3-0 at home to Spurs. You know, when you're losing 3-0 at the likes of Spurs, it's never good. You know, Spurs aren't really a great team this season, very patchy, and they're a team that are there for the taking. And Man United just capitulated. You know, Bruno Fernandes getting a red card. And yeah, they lost 3-0 at home, and it's never a good sign. And the final nail in the coffin really was the 2-1 away loss to West Ham. You know, they should have won that game comfortably in the second half, you know, with Garnacho and Diogo Dalot having 2 or 3 chances to put the game to bed inside the first half, you know. Dalot especially, I still can't wrap my head around how he missed that open goal. And yeah, that's just what happens, you know. If you don't take your chances against these types of teams, you're going to get punished. And West Ham hasn't even really been a good team this season, you know. They're struggling for form, a lot of new signings, trying to get that sort of chemistry going. And they just, yeah, they got the 3 points. And Manchester United aren't really a team in transition, you know. A lot of their players were there last season. Yes, they got a few new signings in like Xerxes, all that stuff. But in terms of, you know, where the teams are at, West Ham are nowhere near where Manchester United are in terms of how long they've been together as a team. So yeah, that was really disappointing. And you see as well his recent comments in the Europa League, with draws to the likes of FC Porto and Fenerbahce away from home. He then said in these press conferences that, you know, that proves that they're a team that are tough to beat, which to me that doesn't really make any sense, because if you're a team that's tough to beat against Fenerbahce and FC Porto, like, what are your standards, you know? It just goes back to that same argument again, those standards. They should be brushing FC Porto aside, they should be brushing Fenerbahce aside, regardless of Jose Mourinho at Fenerbahce. You know, you got the players, you got the individuals to take that, you know, take that game to bed, and they didn't do that. They got a draw, and yeah, as I said, he was making comments that were far from the truth, to be honest. And everyone pointed it out. Everyone was just sort of, you know, it's another excuse, and they're right. And slowly but surely, his philosophy, you know, and the way he played at the start of his reign compared to the end of his reign is you know, it's two completely different sides. You know, you got when he first started, they were a good pass and move side, built up from the back, you know, and sort of has similar to how he played at Ajax, you know, building out from the back, promoting up the younger talent as well, like he did with Kobbie Mainoo. And yeah, but it was just a complete different side after 2 or 3 seasons. You know, he kicks out Ronaldo, he brings in some other players who haven't hit the ground running, which I'll go on to in a sec. But yeah, it's just the teams now, after under Ten Hag, didn't look like they had a philosophy. You know, they didn't look like they had a way of playing, a way of breaking teams down, you know, a different style. You know, sometimes there'd be a pass and move side, you know, building out from back. Other times there'd be a counter-attacking side, against teams that they should be wiping the floor with, as I said, like the Fenerbahces, the FC Portos. And yeah, it was coming to an end. You could see it from a mile off, you know, players that had lost faith, the likes of Marcus Rashford, you know, he's not been the same. And yeah, it just had, the writing was on the wall for this one, I feel. Yeah. Now kicking it off with his transfers under his reign. So a lot of transfers didn't work out, and a lot of them were his types of signings. You know, you got the likes of Anthony for around 85 million, a flop. You know, nowhere near the levels that were expected of him when he was at Ajax. Comes to the Premier League and just didn't look ready, you know. Has the odd, you know, tricks here and there, but everyone knows what he's going to do. He's going to cut in on his left foot, have a shot, and that's all he's got to his game. And I feel like Man United jumped the gun there, paid way over the odds for someone who's, you know, not even been proven in a top league yet. So Mason Mount from Chelsea for around 55 million. Again, never really saw this one happening, you know. He was never really really set the world alight for me at Chelsea. I didn't really know what he was good at apart from, you know, looking busy. You know, he was a good runner, you know, worked hard for the team, but he never had that one individual trait where you go, yeah, he's really good at that for me. Then going on to Rasmus Højlund, who was 65 million, yet again another flop. A man who probably played around half a season, just over half a season for Atalanta, and that justified a 65 million bid from Manchester United, which I couldn't see personally. And it showed, you know, it hasn't hit the ground running, had the odd few games here and there, but nothing to write home about. Lisandro Martinez from Ajax, another Ten Hag signing, I feel, for around 50 million. He's debatable, you know, it's debatable whether he's been good. He's had a lot of injuries which have held him back, but I feel like he has done okay for Manchester United. Not been too bad in games. You get the odd game where he's not up to standard, but that happens. Onto Casemiro as well from Real Madrid, paid way over the odds for a 31-year-old, I think it was 31, 32 when he's come to there. And yeah, it just hasn't looked like the standards he was at Real Madrid. You know, it's a different pace, La Liga to Premier League, and I just feel like Casemiro didn't really step up for it. He had a really good start, but since then I feel like he has stagnated downwards. And you see the likes of Jamie Carragher calling him to be in the Saudi league. It's not good, and I feel like he should have been shifted out last season, but he's still here, and yeah, still not doing great. Malacia from Feyenoord, haven't really seen the guy since last season. Been out injured for a long-term injury, and hasn't been in the media. You know, hasn't been to training, hasn't, you know, watched the team play. No one's really seen him. But recently, obviously, he's come back into training, I've heard. But 15 million again, another Ten Hag signing, Dutch international. Didn't work out, another flop. Other loan signings like Weghorst, Sofian Amrabat and Sergio Reguilon didn't do well. You know, Amrabat had a good World Cup. Man United jumped the gun and just looked like a bang average defensive midfielder. Weghorst proved that he wasn't really up to standard at Burnley. He was okay, but to bring him into a Manchester United side, it's, you know, what do you expect of him? You know, he's not that standard. And yeah, it was another poor signing. And Reguilon was meant to be sort of a bit part player, you know, would come in when injuries were there, but he never really got a look in, even when injuries were there. You know, Ten Hag didn't favour him. And yeah, another poor signing. I think that was rather than Man United rather than Ten Hag, because obviously Ten Hag didn't favour him. So yeah, another poor signing. And the only good signings really were Christian Eriksen and Johnny Evans for me. Evans, he's been, you know, one of their best players. You know, I think he got their Player of the Year last year, and to me that's embarrassing. You know, for a 39-year-old to get your Player of the Year when you've got these players that are valued over 60 million plus. It's never a good sight. And for me, Johnny Evans brought them standards back from when he was previously there under Sir Alex Ferguson. You know, kept to those high standards, and these players just aren't built for that. You know, and he shined above them. And Christian Eriksen as well. Christian Eriksen come in on a free, just like Johnny Evans, and you know, he's been okay. He hasn't set the world alight, but I don't think he's been too bad. So overall, the recruitment for me has been below par, and Ten Hag needs to take accountability for that because of say in the majority of these signings. So yeah, these signings weren't good enough. Ten Hag needs to take the blame, and ultimately this led to him being sacked. So yeah. Going on to what happens now. Ruud van Nistelrooy has obviously been taken over as the interim manager of Manchester United. And I could see it coming from a mile off. You know, he comes from being a manager at PSV. You know, he won the KNVB Cup, I believe, and the Dutch Super Cup, to go into an assistant manager role at Manchester United. It made no sense to me other than he was guaranteed the job if Ten Hag would be sacked. And lo and behold, look what's happened. He comes in with good experience, you know, winning trophies in Holland, but it's only 1 year at PSV, and obviously he's got the experience of being a player under Sir Alex, you know, in that sort of golden era of Manchester United. Hopefully he'll bring them standards to Manchester United because they need that, but I just feel his inexperience may be his downfall. He's good for an interim basis, but in terms of full-time boss, I couldn't see it. But there are other managers linked to the role. You've got the likes of Gareth Southgate, Graham Potter, Eddie Howe has sort of been rumoured, and also Edin Terzic, the former Borussia Dortmund manager. It's just a cursed role, really, I think, going into Manchester United. You never know what you're going to get. You never know if, in terms of being a manager, you never know how the players are going to react to you. You know, it seems like the players run the club rather than the manager, whoever it is. That's stretched back years. You know, you got like some Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You know, the players seem to have run that for years when he was there. Jose Mourinho towards the end of his tenure. You know, lots of Pogba and all that stuff, all the stories coming out. That is that for that video, guys. If you did enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget, we're aiming for 10k subscribers. So keep hitting that subscribe button as it's really appreciated. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.